This is Too Long for a Voice Note, a podcast about everything and nothing at the same time, presented by Claire
and Enzo. Our podcast is produced in London. Some conversations are just too long for a voice note.
Hi, she's Claire.
And he's Enzo.
And this is Too Long for a Voice Note.
Hello
everyone.
Welcome back to another episode of your favourite podcast.
Too Long for a Voice Note.
Our mugs. I love the mug era.
The mug era is still here, yeah.
How are you, Enzo? How are you doing?
Alright, Claire. How's everyone
been?
listening as well?
How is everybody?
Let's hear a reply.
Great guys.
Great guys. We can hear that you're amazing. Now, thank you everyone to tune in.
Yeah.
How are you, Claire?
I'm good.
Yeah.
How are you? I'm getting ready to go on holiday.
Ooh, again. Like, look at her. Like, she doesn't want to be in London anymore.
Literally.
She's like, I'm on holiday all the
In fact,
time.
I think when this episode is released, I might be on holiday.
You're going to be probably on the beach, like, huh.
I think, no, I'll be in Madrid. I think I'll be in
Are you
Madrid.
going to Madrid?
Yeah. I'm
but
going
fair
to
enough. It's gonna
Gran
be warm.
Canaria. I've never been to the Canary Islands.
I've never been.
Okay.
I'm really curious to go.
Nice.
Like, I always, kind of these places I want to go, but it's always like, I will go one day.
Yeah.
But, yeah.
Gran Canaria and then Madrid.
That's really cool. I love Madrid. And there's a lot of
Yeah.
people that I love there. And Spain, I don't know. But yeah, Gran Canaria. Bro, you're going to see a lot of like Venezuelan stuff, so good luck.
Oh yeah, because it's such an influence of Venezuela.
Yeah. It's like, run away.
excited.
And I'll be like, arepas everywhere.
I'll be in my element.
Like, ooh,
Literally.
yeah, literally.
How about you had a trip at the end of May?
Oh yeah,
as well.
I'm going to Italy,
Yeah.
to Abruzzo, so I can't wait to go to
Abruzzo.
Italy. It's gonna be a bit warm, amazing food. In Italy, Italy, you can never go wrong with Italy.
With the food.
With the food. And with Italy as a country, as an experience for a holiday.
But yeah, that would be really beautiful.
Yeah, I was thinking to ask you before starting our topic, like, because I watched a movie, sorry for the big jump,
What
I was
now?
like thinking,
What now?
because I was meant to ask you, like, what was the last movie you watched?
Oh.
Because I watched two interesting, well, not only both movies are interesting, but I watched two movies recently. One, it's After Sun. Do you watch After Sun?
No, I want to watch it. I heard it's really sad.
Yes, well, because I want your opinion, but thank you, Claire. You didn't watch it, so whatever.
It's on my list. Would you
I
recommend
watched.
it then?
I think it wasn't as sad as I was expecting.
Okay.
But maybe I was a bit cold that day. I don't know.
Is
I
it one
didn't
of
cry.
those things where people are like, it's so sad, and it's actually not that sad?
Yeah, well, I have to say, like, what I found interesting about this movie, no spoilers alert, because, I mean, that's on the trailer. I've never seen this type of relationship portrayed in a movie, because basically the movie is like a father and daughter relationship portrayed like a trip they did together. That's what I was thinking about it, because you say, I'm on a trip, so connecting the dots. So yeah, circle back. Yes. So, and I think that was interesting because the type of dynamics that are not really explored a lot in movies is very about that. And I think it's like really beautifully shot.
Yeah, okay.
Very beautiful, very like good connection and chemistry between the actors.
Cool, I'll give that a watch.
Let me know. It's it's sad. It's not necessarily that dense, but it's a bit slow though. The rhythm is very like, you need to be like in a mood to watch it, but yeah, definitely.
Okay.
And then I watch like, like Ana de Armas has a new movie with Chris Evans.
Evans, yeah.
I watch it. I mean, they're both beautiful, but I think it's a bit, like this new, also the impact of J-Lo, because like J-Lo put back this like action romance situations, that kind of crappy movies, but they're like kind of like romantic movies, but they're action movies at the same time. Well, this movie is kind of like the same thing. So basically, it's like she's like a spy, and what I found interesting about the dynamic is like, it's very like more modern like point of view, because she's very strong, she's a spy, blah blah blah, and he's a bit more like, he's needy, and he's more like as they portray it in a cliche way women, like in this type of movies, like because he's needy, he's a bit like oh my god, oh my god, you did this to me, he kind of have that more like softer or more like emotional side, which is not portrayed normally in this type of like comedies, things, romantic. So it was fun to watch. And again, they're both very beautiful. Okay. So it's kind of like, okay, but
I think I'll give that one a watch. It sounds like
it's good for like a night hangover, or like you have nothing to do.
Chill.
Like it's 9 p.m. You want an hour and a half. What I'm gonna do? Watch the movie. entertaining. Really good action shots though.
Okay,
So
I think I'll try both of those. Two films that I watched actually when we were coming back on the plane were She Said, which was really good. I hope I'm getting the name right. I think I am, but it's basically about the Harvey Weinstein.
You mentioned that. I think Andy's also mentioned it.
It's two journalists. It's a true, real story. Two journalists who broke the story, and then it developed into Me Too. So about Harvey Weinstein abusing lots of women in Hollywood. I really enjoyed that film. I really love Carey Mulligan. I think she's great.
She's great.
And very good acting.
Interesting.
It felt, even though it was obviously quite big budget, it felt quite indie in a way. I really think you'd like that.
So it's kind of like the way they tell the stories, they're kind of like a really sensitive,
and obviously super
empathic,
feminist, and I think it's the woman, one of the journalists helped to write the script or something like that for the film.
Fair enough.
And then the other one, which I know you've watched, is Elvis.
What do you think about Elvis?
I actually enjoyed it a lot more than I thought I was going to, because I don't really care that much about Baz Luhrmann films, to be honest. It's just really not my style. It's just a bit like much, and it did take me a moment to kind of like get into his very like a lot style. But I really enjoyed it, and also like I didn't know anything about Elvis.
Impressive, right?
I don't know how accurate. I didn't actually look up like how accurate.
I mean, apparently it's really, really accurate because his family is like they approved the movie. They're friends with Austin Butler.
The actor.
Austin Butler, whatever.
Yes.
Butler, Austin,
he was great in it. I watched a quite funny video. And I was surprised.
I was surprised about his performance in this movie overall. So, like, this is my week then.
Yep.
So
time for
Enzo's secret topic of the week. My topic this week, Claire, I think it's gonna be a bit different. It's a bit more dynamic, and maybe will like challenge us to be a bit more direct. And more quick. And I want to start before I go to the top. Well, I want to first
Is it going to trigger
reveal? Yeah, because it could be a bit like, maybe if you put it out of context, it could be a bit weird. So
trigger warning.
Trigger warning. Anyway, my topic about this week is internet hot takes. Like, what is a hot take? You wonder. Have you heard about what is a hot take? I'm gonna give you a few definitions of the terminology hot take.
Okay.
Well, basically, this was something that is very like a social media modern terminology, which basically means like having like a really strong opinion about something.
Okay.
That's a hot take. So when you have a hot take about something, it's because you have regularly or normally, it's normally like a controversial opinion, and it's very like social media internet era terminology, because it's very like, let's say you go to Twitter and you say like your opinion about something in 2 lines, and it can be a bit harsh, it can be controversial, and that create like conversation or create something, or create like something like, most of the time it's controversial. A lot of people think hot takes can be a bit like superficial, or they just done by create like clicks, or like just people, you know, like maybe people feeling entitled to say whatever they want in their minds.
So they might not necessarily believe what they're saying. They're just throwing it there to like create a reaction,
it could be.
Kind of thing.
It could be, but maybe also it's kind of like a place for people being like really like ruthless, or maybe like having like being very like blunt about what they're saying, just for being like very like controversial or something.
Makes sense.
But it's kind of like opinion that it cannot be exactly right or wrong, but sometimes it can be very hurtful, and that's the point of it. And sometimes people be very blunt about what they say, and they can be controversial, or sometimes they can be really like direct. But what I found interesting about this is that this actually sometimes create a huge conversation around them. So maybe like let's say like a mean commentary about someone or something on the internet, it can open a discussion, and it actually can become something bigger.
Okay.
So it's kind of like a hot take becomes like a bigger take of things.
Wow.
You know.
So have you got any examples?
So for example, my point of this, and what I wanted to go with you in this journey is, I have a few hot takes, internet hot takes of topics that can be controversial. They can be a bit like,
Yeah, okay.
And the thing is, I would like to explore with you like some hot hot takes of internet, but like let's talk about them like in a brief way.
Okay.
Like let's say if we manage, because we talk a lot, guys. But let's say I'm gonna throw like 3 topics, and we're gonna discuss them as much as we can. Very blunt.
Yeah.
I want us to be blunt and be real, and very like be real.
Yeah.
And very like as honest as we can be on these topics, because I think that's the point of it as well. And kind of like, because this is basically what happens when someone throws like a hot take. It could be very like maybe superficial, but then it creates bigger conversations. Sometimes it creates changes as well. Like people, for example, speaking against like someone, and then this create like a movement of people being like, no, this is not right, this is not wrong, and then it becomes like something on the internet.
Kind of like Me Too,
escalates.
for example.
Probably Me Too was, it could be someone saying like, oh, women should be allowed to speak their minds at work when men are abusive. And then that become a lot of people saying like, I agree. And then maybe an article came out of it, someone say like, yes, this. You know, it's kind of like, it can actually it can inspire something bigger. So I think that's something interesting to explore.
Let's get into the hot takes.
Okay, so my first hot take is, let's go. Is it anal sex really painful?
Is anal sex really painful?
And do you think, and do you agree with this hot take a lot of people has on the internet saying like, oh, women, they do anal sex are really wrong because of something that maybe prostitutes or women that are not okay.
Women view anal sex for themselves as interesting.
What do you think about this hot take?
So what's my opinion on this?
Yeah, what's our opinion about this hot take? Do we think anal sex is painful first? And do we think like it's really wrong to do it? Or like it's degrading for women to do anal sex?
I think that anal sex is painful, like anything, like vaginal sex, if you don't do it much. Okay. So I think like probably the first time you do it, I think it's really painful. If you haven't done it for a while, then I think just like the vagina, it's painful. But I think if you...
As any hole.
Exactly, like any hole needs like work and
warm up,
attention. And like, I also would add something that I think like, when you have a different partner, you need to like address like, because it's different with different people, right? And like maybe some people don't have experience with anal sex, some people do. So I think like, you know, and then regarding the second topic, second question, I think that, I think generally women would view anal sex as something quite degrading for themselves. Or I think maybe that they wouldn't admit to it. But I think probably a lot of people probably do, this is my complete assumption, but I think a lot of people do bum stuff. Like heterosexual people do bum stuff. They just don't admit to it maybe. Because I think it's like a taboo about like having your ass eaten or something like that.
It's a really interesting taboo, right? Because I feel like a lot of cases, and that's something that I was saying, like it's a really something around the internet, it's a hot take all the time. It's like people saying like, oh, if you're a woman, like why you would do anal sex, or why you would like put yourself through that. So I found really interesting how like still like nowadays the concept of doing anal sex for a woman is something degrading. And I heard like a lot of times, obviously, and this is like taking it away from sexual preferences, not being like, oh well, you know, because maybe you don't like it and that's it. It's more about like this kind of like view of something you're already blocking yourself because maybe you don't feel it's right for you, because it's not something like it's good. Like I wonder like why we have this feeling of like it's something bad, or why especially for women it's kind of like,
I don't know, but
what's the problem with anal sex? And I feel like also like sometimes when women are very open saying like I love anal sex, a lot of other women or people will be like, oh my god, she's kinky, she's like, ooh, you know, like, you know, I don't find like really like
I guess it's
strange.
Just the way that we're raised, like everything. It's just something that it's just like a taboo. It's like a weird taboo, I think, for heterosexual people. That
true.
And I think that's why like a lot of like straight men are really hesitant about asshole stuff. Like why?
Asshole stuff. I'm like,
I did not know how to phrase it. Anal stuff. Asshole stuff.
I love it. Asshole stuff. It's like a good t-shirt. Asshole stuff.
But it's true. But I think, I mean, trying to think amongst my girlfriends, like, maybe it's like 50-50. Like, some are completely up for that, whatever with it. Some try to persuade their boyfriends to go for it. And the boyfriends won't have it.
Which again, I guess in relationship, like a straight relationship, it could be more like an interesting thing, because then maybe like men think like if I do, I'm gonna be gay.
Yeah,
which has another thing, right? Like, why I would do something that would make it look gay? It's like, well, is it that bad anyway? Like, it comes from another set of things, I guess.
But it's so ridiculous when you think about it, right? Because it's like, it's literally a hole. Like, it's a hole. It doesn't mean anything. Do you know, I find it so
hot take is going to be like...
It's a hole.
And anus is a hole. Get over it.
It's just a set of rules. And I say, if you like it, go for it. And if you don't like it and it's not pleasurable for you, then don't do it. That's my take. That's my hot take.
That's my hot take.
On the butthole.
No, I really agree with you, especially because... As you say, all of these are things that we construct over time, like everything, as fashion, as the way we dress, as gender, gender, all of these things are construct as a society construct. We build this, so like there's no like I don't know, like other type. You know my point. Like we are all set of things that we create, so we can just break those rules as well, because all of them are very obsolete. So the next hot take, guys.
Hot take.
So. Let's do something more. Well, this is a bit like. Well, okay, let's go. Funnily, because we were speaking about the Kardashians before, and what interesting hot take on internet, which is always, the Kardashians, they're always like such a dividing topic, right? It's always like 50-50. But one interesting hot take about the Kardashians is people saying that they're horrible role models, and they don't promote any type of empowerment or women being strong. So what do we think about this hot take?
I love this one.
Yeah. What do we truly believe?
What do we truly
Sorry, I also want to say, like, before this, what I want to say before we start this is just like overall hot takes. It's not something that we necessarily believe. That's just why we bring the topic to the table. It's like, like maybe if it's something, the hot take is controversial, it's something like that's why it is. Like, if you put this out of context, maybe it would sound a bit weird, so it has to be about the context that we want to discuss the hot takes and see if we agree with it or not. So I want to say that.
So don't come for us. Basically.
But this is like exactly, we just want a place to openly
explore.
Talk.
Repeat the hot take about the Kardashians.
So basically, are the Kardashians really like a really horrible model, and they actually don't promote empowerment, or they don't promote like women being strong? So basically they're the contrary of that, of empowerment, of strong women, or like role models overall, because
one thing I will say is like, it's a tricky one, but my initial thoughts are on one side they are empowering, because you can say like they will have very successful, they don't all have, but a few of them have like successful businesses, right? Like Kim has Skims. I actually love Skims. It's like an underwear brand, really nice. Kylie has the makeup one. She's you can't say self-made billionaire because she's clearly not, but she's a billionaire and she's like super young. On some level, like Kim did her law thing, didn't she?
Yeah, she's a lawyer, basically.
And also just to say, like, I don't really follow them that closely. We were just talking about them because one of them is dating Bad Bunny, so we were just talking. That's why I knew of that one. Yeah. So that is empowering. One thing I think is super, super unempowering about the Kardashians is the beauty standards. Yeah. And how, for example, like you can look at Kim, like she literally stole from different ethnicities' bodies to like go into what was fashionable at the time. Yeah. So when like being curvy and having like big boobs, a big ass, and when she was like dating a black man, she molded her body to be more in line with that. But now she's dating white guys. She's super skinny. She's bringing back that whole like heroin chic look that was really big in the 90s. She's dyed her hair blonde, and it's like fine in a way because she has the means to do that. But I worry about like what that says to women and to younger girls. So I think that's something that's like not empowering that they do. How about you?
I found interesting. That's a really interesting one about what you just said, because then we got the other like spectrum saying like you do whatever you want with your body, you change your body if you want, you go for it, blah blah blah. You're on of your own narrative, and I think that's where they stand most of the times. It's like, well, I have the money, I have the means, I do whatever I want with my life. Fuck you, basically. But again, I think the Kardashians are a really complicated topic, because I feel like empowerment, and maybe this is something ignorant to say, but I think empowerment, it may come and look different for different people, because of course, like you for you being empowered is different from a woman in Venezuela, or a woman in having like a rough situation in a Asian country or a developing country overall, any, you know what I mean? So I think empowerment comes in different ways from different people.
Really good point.
And I think they represent, we have to also remember they're American.
Yeah.
And sometimes I think we see like these Americans standards, or these like big standards America for, kind of like we plaster all over the whole world, and we have all different things, and maybe they represent something really important for a big amount of people in America, and how they see themselves and how they are. I'm sure a lot of women there were probably, because if you take the chance, if there's a girl that maybe saw Kim, it was like, oh my gosh, she was successful, like shapewear line, I want to do something similar, and they did it, and they have a business now, and they start from zero, they got empowered, or they got like inspired by her, and now like she got something useful and valuable with her life, blah blah blah, she reached her goal. That's empowering, I guess, right? It has like that element. So I think it has like a string, like it may be empowering, but then again,
I think also like one thing I was thinking about with Kim was that example of that thing that was floating around probably this time last year of like, nobody wants to work anymore, just do the fucking work, you know, that one. And it was like, you know what, bitch, like she like has always been super wealthy, and that's not a problem. That's how she was born, and those were her circumstances. But it's so unfair to say that like people don't want to work when people do work really hard, and they'll never obtain the level of success that her and that family have, because they know everyone. It's like they open a door most likely into a world that a lot of people are never going to be in, and that's fine, but don't criticize people for not working, because you know, she can just, like I said, love that shapewear brand, but like it was never not going to be successful. And if it wasn't successful, it doesn't really matter for her, because she's always going to be wealthy, and that's the truth. Whereas for a lot of people, like giving that example of like this woman has been inspired to create a shapewear line, like she might have put all of her savings into that. She might have like, I don't know, creating an imaginary scenario, moved home, something. So it's never going to be equal. Can they be inspiring? Yes. I wouldn't give them as much credit to say empowering personally.
I do love that you bring up this example, because I think this is a good example of where they are so fucking polarizing, because a set of people, a set of group, I mean, let's say some people, when they saw the video, they say like, yes, that's what you have to do. You have to work hard because people are lazy nowadays, and blah, 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 and then other group of people, many others were like, well, bitch, as you were saying, like, well, you know, there's people, as you said, they work 20 hours a day, and they're still fighting to get food on their table. So it's not about the work, it's about the circumstances. So like, is that empowering? But again, you know, I think it's such like I don't know where to stand here. I think most of the times they're not really empowering, because I think empowering is when you give the sources to, which maybe they do. Maybe they have a lot of money to a lot of charities, and they give millions every single month. We don't know. That probably is more empowering, that you say like, oh, I gave this amount of money and resources to this group of women, let's say, that are struggling to open their businesses. I don't know. Maybe they do it. And that would be an example of being empowered. But I think what people say, like, overall, this like, oh my gosh, she's so on her body, on herself, that's, I think we're getting this point in society that we are understanding more that that's not necessarily empowerment, because the messages there are not necessarily the best for young women, or also like older women, right?
It's true. And I think like, all the body stuff, I mean, that family has like completely dictated body standards for the last decade. And that's wild. And I think it's just really always really important to remember that like they might be super gorgeous, like we were again talking about it, about the Kendall example of like, can be like super gorgeous, but it's like they've paid for that, and that's fine. Like, for example, an example that I love of this is like Anita, a Brazilian singer. She has had a lot of cosmetic surgery, but she's really open about this. And I think she's always like, well, you can look like me, but you just need to pay. And I think that's the difference with not that celebrities owe us being open about their cosmetic surgery procedures, but I think that the Kardashians like sell an unobtainable lifestyle.
Yeah, it's true.
And it's always this kind of like slight dialogue of like, you don't work hard enough, you're lazy, you're this, you're something. But that's not the reality, because they have unlimited resources to look like that. And I think that's really important to remember.
It's good. Well, kind of I think to wrap up, because we're talking too much as always. But one other, I have 2 more hot takes, but there's one that is actually related to that. So I think we can wrap it up, because one hot take is if actually plastic surgery a choice, or is a result of like social standards. And I think that goes hand in hand what you were saying about like, why do we do these surgeries? And I think most of cases it comes because we have these ideas presented to ourselves through social media, through beauty, through beauty pageant, like Miss Universe, like from forever, and they mostly affect to women also, like they're all like women related, like about how you look and how your values related to your look. So I just wonder, like, how much of a choice it's for us to have a plastic surgery to look better, air quotes, which means just closer to a standard, you know?
I think it's kind of like a question of like, again, like how much is anything a choice that we do. But I think regarding beauty standards and cosmetic surgery, I think it's really naive to say that it's not influenced by society and the wider beauty standard, because if that wasn't the case, then we would all be, people might want to look like Marilyn Monroe, for example. Like beauty standards change all the time. And if you look at where we are now to where we were in like Marilyn Monroe, I just took her as like a random example. Like it's changed so much. So clearly, like it's reflected in what people want in the beauty standard. I think that if you have something that makes you really unhappy, for example, if you're really unhappy with your nose and you have the means to change it, why not? You know, go ahead and change it. I think there's something a bit different to like that and completely changing your whole image to look like a ideal version of like what is,
You're right.
And I think also what also scares me sometimes a lot about cosmetic surgery is that, especially for kind of like younger girls, is that I think it's often maybe through like a male lens of like, or a male gaze of like what's attractive. So it's always like big lips, maybe like bigger boobs, tiny waist, like not so much. I mean, the arse, yes, kind of, but that's kind of like going a bit out of fashion. And I think that's somewhere where it would be like, oh my god, like please, if you want to do it, say that you're doing it for yourself. Just please say that you're not doing it for a man.
Yeah, I think it's a really good point, because again, thinking about all of this and how it's because of the gaze or what someone believes or what someone likes. Again, like how we reach a point in society, I wonder if this was the same with our grandparents, for example, that you look to the mirror and you look at your nose, and maybe your nose is a big nose and you think that's wrong. Like why? And I think I don't know if it did something because we really believe that, or because we compare to obviously a standard that we have.
I think it's also social media, because
social media nowadays as well.
There's actually like a channel that I actually really like watching. I'll insert the link, but it's a plastic surgeon talking about cosmetic surgeries. It sounds kind of like it's picking women apart, but it's actually not. It's about the ethos behind the channel is to advise about cosmetic surgeries and to like encourage and discourage people from getting it anyway.
Interesting.
He actually says that the highest number of requests that he gets from like everyday people is make me look like this Instagram filter. So I really think that that's where we've become quite warped.
Makes sense.
Because we're used to like seeing our nose thinner. And that's fucked, because it's like, it's never like different ethnicities that your face is getting warped to. It's always getting warped to like a Caucasian idealized style of beauty. It's really wrong when you think about it like that, and most of us don't fit into that, and that's so damaging if you're not part of that group. And even if you are part of that group, you don't look like that filter anyway. Inevitably something will be off, you know.
I think it will be interesting to know like a bit more, going back to history and read a bit more about it, like in the 20s, like does like anyone be like look at the mirror and being like, oh, I don't like my nose. I would like to have a thinner nose.
I'm sure.
You know,
I'm sure that that's always been a thing. I think that I don't think that.
Then we go to symmetry, maybe maybe we like symmetry, or maybe we like. It's
but I think
interesting,
that it's become more accessible now.
Yeah, so
maybe
it changed the game.
And also because of social media, because it's so addictive, I think, to see your face like that you just want that to be the case all the time. And that's why I think filters are quite damaging.
Yeah. True. Well,
so yeah.
There you go, guys. Interesting. That's a very interesting one. So interesting, like exploring these hot takes.
I love that. It was very interesting. I loved it.
Thank you, love.
I was getting fired up about the Kardashians, not banging too.
But that's what we love. Like, I love that we being like honest, and like hot takes, they become a whole conversation, and that's the point.
Hot take, circle back.
Circle back.
Right. I mean, I've heard this word before, but I was like, what is that?
Yeah, and it's very like social media and internet.
Hot take.
Now you can be a joker. You need to definitely go work, and also because like you work with a lot of young people. I have to say, it's not like we're not, but like they're younger than us. So we'll be like, guys, I have a hot take here. You will like boom boom, but they'll be like, ooh, like all the Gen Z is gonna be like, So there you go, Claire.
Definitely. Well, thank you, love. Very good topic.
Thank you guys for watching, listening, etc. Please share, like, subscribe, and all those little things.
See you guys next week.
Thank you for listening to us. Bye.